In that blue paradise, our hero's story began. And in that blue paradise, it will end. Odysseus was not a perfect man, but a truly extraordinary one, living a life filled with wonders. His journey began when he was king of the island of Ithaca in Greece, living a lavish royal life with his beautiful wife, Penelope, among the blue Greek mountains, until the drums of war beat, threatening to awaken him from that blue paradise. Odysseus tried desperately to avoid that fate through his cunning. He feigned madness, plowing the fields and sowing salt instead of wheat. But the moment of truth arrived to expose his trickery. The commander Palamedes placed Odysseus's infant son Telemachus directly in front of the plow. Odysseus swerved instantly to save his child. His scheme failed, and he was forced to march off to war. But Odysseus never forgot what Palamedes had done, how Palamedes was the reason he was torn away from his family. Days passed, yet Odysseus continued to harbor deep resentment toward him until the perfect opportunity for revenge arrived. During the Trojan War, Odysseus concocted a sinister plot. He forged a traitorous letter and planted gold inside Palamedes' tent. He then accused Palamedes of betrayal and spying for the Trojans. Palamedes was subsequently executed by stoning, a victim of Odysseus's dark intelligence. Was this, in your opinion, truly an ethical act? And we cannot mention Odysseus without addressing his greatest and most famous deception, the Trojan horse. It ended a war that had raged for 10 years, during which Agamemnon's armies were powerless to breach the walls of that impenetrable city. But what cannot be achieved by force might be achieved through cunning. This was where Odysseus excelled. It was his idea to present a massive wooden horse to the Trojans as a gift. Once the Trojans accepted the horse and brought it inside their city, they were like someone bringing a venomous snake into their home. The horse was filled with warriors who exploited their entry into Troy. In the darkness of night, they slipped out and opened the gate, which led to the final fall and destruction of Troy. Was that moment the beginning of a bright new life for Odysseus after his decisive contribution to the war? Or the beginning of a journey of misery? In truth, it was the start of a journey filled with hardships, and perhaps that was due to his contribution to the fall of Troy, as the fall of Troy led to horrific massacres. The Odyssey begins on the way home when Odysseus chose to land on the island of the lotus eaters. Some of his men ate the lotus flower, a plant that plunges whoever eats it into a dull euphoria, causing them to forget their homeland and stripping away any desire to return. Thus, Odysseus was forced to drag them onto the ship by strength, steering away from that island and its deceptive blossoms. After continuing the journey, they landed on the island of the Cyclopes, where Odysseus and his men were trapped inside the cave of the giant Polyphemus. That giant was blinded after Odysseus struck him directly in the eye. To be hunted by a giant is terrifying, even if he is blind. But sometimes pride fuels foolish courage. As Odysseus was about to board his ship, he turned back and shouted to the giant, "I am Odysseus, king of Ithaca." Unfortunately, that giant was the son of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Upon learning Odysseus's true name, Polyphemus prayed to his father to rain down curses upon him, leading to the sea curse that prevented Odysseus from returning to Ithaca and his blue paradise. From the curse of Poseidon, god of the sea, to the pity of Aeolus, god of the winds. Aeolus granted Odysseus a second chance when they landed on his island. He trapped all the treacherous winds that might hinder their journey inside a leather bag, leaving only the gentle west wind to guide them peacefully back toward their homeland. But tragedy was destined to unfold. Just as they drew near, when the very shores of Ithaca came into view, sleep finally overcame the exhausted Odysseus. Thinking the bag contained gold and hidden treasures, his men opened it, and the unleashed winds blew them right back into the endless abyss. This time they landed on the island of the enchantress Circe, who transformed half of his men into swine. But with the aid of Hermes, who gifted Odysseus a sacred herb to resist her dark magic, he was able to intervene and save his men. Next, he faced the ordeal of the sirens and their enchanting, deadly song. But Odysseus, through his cunning, sealed his men's ears with wax and had himself bound tight to the ship's mast, thus becoming the only one to hear their song and survive. His extreme cleverness and trickery could not save him from that cursed journey. Yet, without his wits, he would have perished in his very first trial. Then he endured another trial, where Odysseus was forced to choose between two terrifying sea passages. The first was inhabited by Scylla, a six-headed monster that devours 6 sailors from every passing ship. The second was inhabited by Charybdis, a massive whirlpool that swallows entire ships. Odysseus chose the less dangerous passage, Scylla, sacrificing 6 of his men to save the rest and the ship from the deadly whirlpool. What good will your cunning do you? When you are surrounded by this endless ocean horizon, the curse had finally claimed Odysseus, who washed ashore, exhausted and alone, upon the island of Ogygia after losing all of his men, the home of the exquisitely beautiful nymph Calypso. Calypso loved him and held him captive for 7 years, tempting him with an offer almost impossible to ignore: immortality and eternal youth, provided he remain with her as her husband. But Odysseus did not accept. Instead, he spent his days sitting on the shore, weeping, gazing toward the horizon, longing for his homeland and his blue paradise. And as always, suffering does not last forever. The goddess Athena, his constant protector and patron of intelligence and cunning, took pity on him. She took advantage of the absence of Poseidon, who was responsible for Odysseus's curse, and convinced the other gods that the time had come for Odysseus to be reunited with his homeland. Hermes was then sent to Calypso to order her to release Odysseus. Calypso reluctantly complied and helped Odysseus build a simple wooden raft to sail toward his homeland. Odysseus finally arrived in Ithaca after 20 years of absence, and with the help of his son Telemachus and a few loyal servants, he eliminated all the suitors in the palace. He reclaimed his kingdom and the throne of his land, and was reunited with his wife Penelope, bringing his epic to a close as a human saga where strength intertwines with weakness and extreme cunning with obvious folly. In conclusion, we hope that the story of Odysseus has not truly ended, and that those seas continue to yield wonders for us. Yet, an end is not always a bad thing, but rather the beginning of a new journey